Hello guys, welcome back to a new video. Now today it's a really dark, gloomy day in Sydney. It's like 1 in the afternoon and it's so dark outside, so I thought what better time than to just come chill out on the sofa, film a new video, because this video is something I'm really excited to film and it's something that I've had so many of you reach out and ask me about, and it's going to be my kind of like settling camp nerves advice video and talk about all things that you guys could be worried about or nervous about when it comes to prepping and going to camp. Now a lot of things I'm going to touch on is kind of like how feeling homesick, missing home, settling in, making new friends, bonding with your campers, just adjusting to a completely new environment and something that is so abnormal for so many of us. Like, it's like camp is like nowhere you will have ever experienced, so it's quite nice to hear about these kind of things and kind of give you some tips and tricks on how to maybe calm those nerves and just maybe put your mind at ease with a few of these different things. Now I actually asked over on my Instagram a couple of days ago for you guys to reach out and let me know what your worries are about camp, what you're nervous about, maybe something you're not sure how it's going to be when you actually get there, like not knowing what to expect with certain things. And yeah, I've got a few things written down. Like I say, so many of you reached out and actually responded to that Instagram story, and there's so many things here that I thought this is going to be such a good video idea. Maybe it might even need to be 2 parts because I had so many of you respond with like different camp worries and stuff, so we'll see how much I get in on this one. I'd ideally like to keep it in one video, but we'll see how we go. But yeah, if there's anything I haven't covered and there's something you're still worried about camp, either drop me a message or leave it in the comments down below and I'll be sure to help you out with whatever it is. Because one thing I want to mention before I even start is that all of these feelings that you're feeling before going to camp or before even applying, like if you're not sure, they're so normal to feel. Like the nerves, the anxiety, the worry, like that is completely normal before going and doing something like this. Like, it's a big thing, and I think a lot of people forget how big of a deal it is to go and kind of uproot your life and move around the world and go and live in a new environment with completely new people for like 2-3 months at a time. Like, it's a big thing. So these feelings are completely normal, and don't let that put you off and think, oh well, I shouldn't be feeling like that, maybe it's not the right time for me to apply, maybe it's not the right thing. Like, I felt completely petrified before going to camp my first time. I was so worried and so nervous before going. I remember traveling there, I was so stressed, and then as soon as I got there, it was like I was welcomed into this huge family and I felt so at ease and just so settled, and it was so nice to feel like I was part of this big family. But yeah, it's completely normal to feel like that, so try and put those fears and those worries to one side and just be excited as well. Like, it's such an exciting time to be planning to go to camp, to soon be going. Like, I literally will be going to camp in like 5 months. It's actually insane, so get excited about all that as well. I do hope this video helps, and I do hope it kind of helps ease any nerves you do have or any worries and answer any questions you've got. So yeah, I'm gonna get straight into it. Okay, a big thing that a lot of you actually asked about was just feeling homesick and kind of like tips on how to overcome feeling homesick. And closer to the time, I will do a more specific video on kind of like tips on how to help with specific things. This is more of a general video on like worries and things you're nervous about as a whole. But in terms of feeling homesick, again, this is a completely normal feeling to feel. For some of you, it'll be the first time you've come away from home, or for some of you, the first time you've been on a plane or left your hometown. So feeling homesick is normal, and the one thing I love about camp is how much of a big family you do feel like you're in straight away. And as soon as you get there, you're welcomed with open arms, and everyone is so nice and so approachable. You feel like you can go and talk to anyone about anything. Orientation is a really crazy fun time at the start of camp when staff go and you're thrown in the deep end, and that's the best part about it because you don't really have so much time to think about home. You're doing all these fun activities, you're meeting new people, you're making new friends, you're doing all these crazy things, and it really takes your mind off missing home. But that's not to say that you get back into bed after a really long day and you're really missing home. All you want to do is call or speak to home. You always can. Like, throughout orientation, they're really flexible with you being able to stay in touch with people back home. Like, for the first, I think it's 10 days of orientation. Well, our orientation is around 10 days long. They keep the Wi-Fi on at camp so that we're able to still contact home. We're able to call, text, like obviously when we're not training or doing like activities and stuff, but you always have that there. So if you want to get up early in the morning or call home or in the evening, like you have that flexibility to do so, because they don't want people to go out there and just be thrown into an environment where they can't even speak to home or contact or have any communication. That's not what they want. So you'll find you'll spend your days doing these really fun, crazy activities, keeping your mind off home, and then you're able to talk to home if you do want to. But normally you've been having so much fun, you've met so many new people that you're spending time with the new friends you've met, and you do kind of, in a way, you become in a bubble. Like, camp is a crazy bubble, and you kind of forget that the outside world exists. It's such a strange thing to explain. But I remember I'll literally call home and my mom will be telling me stuff about what's happening at home. I'm like, right, the world's still going on whilst I'm here. You just forget the outside world is there. So in terms of feeling homesick, it's completely normal, and it's normal to feel it for the first few weeks, even after the campers get there. And I find I feel quite homesick on visiting day. Like we have a day in the middle of the summer when all the parents of the campers come to camp, and they bring like loads of food and they just bring presents and they spend the day with their kids, and that's a day that's quite normal for staff to feel homesick, because all I want to do on visiting day is see my mum and dad and my family and friends. So it's completely normal. Like you could feel homesick towards the end of the summer and have not felt homesick throughout the whole start of the summer, but you are so busy and you're kept so engaged and excited with new activities and things that you really don't have all that much time to think about home, and that's why I love it. Okay, next one is not being able to use my phone to contact home. Now this is kind of what I've just touched upon. It'll all depend on your camp phone policy. Like my phone policy at camp has changed slightly every year that I've been, but they'll want you to be able to contact home. Like I've said, they're not going to put you into an environment where you're just not able to contact home. Like I say, I could always just get up early in the morning. I could go to the gym, phone my mom, text my mom, FaceTime, anything. Whatever you needed to do, as long as you weren't working, you weren't on duty, you are absolutely fine to use your phone. Okay, so someone's actually said they're worried about getting to camp, the whole traveling alone process, like actually getting there. And this is such a valid thing to be worried and nervous about. Traveling alone is intimidating and it is very scary. And once you do it for a first time, honestly, you'll feel like you can conquer the world. Getting on a plane for the first time by yourself is so, I don't even know how to describe it. It's such an exciting feeling because you kind of know once you do that you can do anything. That's how I feel. I flew back from camp on my own my first summer. I didn't fly there by myself, I flew back by myself. I remember after I was like, that was actually so smooth and so easy, and I felt like I could do anything, honestly. But it's completely normal. Just make sure you have all your documents, you've got everything prepped and ready to go, and people at the airport are always there to help if you're worried about actually flying by yourself. You can just go and ask someone if you need anything, if you're not sure where something is. And then get into camp from the airport wherever you fly into in America. Your camp will either pick you up in a bus or they'll give you really, really specific directions on how to get there. Like my first summer I had to go on a coach from New York, and I went to a tiny little town just outside of my camp, and I did that all by myself. And the instructions they gave were so simple. They told me exactly where to go and buy a ticket from, how much it was going to cost, then which terminal I had to go to, which bus I had to get on, what stop I had to get off. Like they give you all the instructions and information because they don't want you to feel overwhelmed and not know what's going on and what to do. A big thing that I would say to do is reach out to people that are going to your camp and find a travel buddy, find someone to partner up with and travel with. We've got a few group chats for Tyler Hill at my camp specifically, and people are already planning like getting to camp and going together. And if you're from an area that's near someone else, you can just partner up, and if you have a date that kind of works for both of you, fly together and you found yourself a travel partner. Also join my Facebook group, I'll insert it here. We're at like nearly I think it's like 2.3k members now, which is insane. And put something in this group chat, kind of say, like, we'll find that especially a lot on the run up to camp. People will be putting in this group chat that they're flying on whatever day. Is anyone else flying on the same flight? You'll find that a lot of camps ask you to be there within a certain time frame. So a lot of people fly between, I find a popular time is like between the 9th and the 17th-ish of June. That's always quite a popular week because a lot of camps start around that time. Some will be earlier, some will be later, but that's quite a popular one that I found. And just put in there, find if someone's traveling on the same flight as you, if someone wants to book the same flight, and that's just a really easy way to try and ease the whole process, give you someone to do the traveling part with. Okay, someone said about not getting enough sleep. Now this is a really valid point, and it's a very valid thing to worry about because camp is overwhelming and the days are long and there's so much going on that you're so busy, and sometimes you don't get enough sleep and you don't feel well rested enough. I found that my first 2 summers I had the youngest division on camp, so they went to sleep relatively early, between like 9:30 and 9:45, but then they'd be up quite a lot earlier. But I found with those kids I was able to feel really quite well rested, and I'd always get up to go to the gym in the morning, and I just felt like I had a really good night's sleep. As my kids were a little bit older this past year, they weren't going to sleep till like 11 o'clock, but they slept in a little bit later, so it kind of balanced out. It does balance out with a lot of age groups, to be honest, because the oldest group of kids, they go to sleep quite late, but they get to sleep in quite late. But you just need to make sure, like, if you are starting to feel really drained and really exhausted, give yourself some time to recover. If you've got a night off, sometimes it might be that you just need to take a night in and not go out to Walmart or go out for food or go out for drinks. Like, just take a night and have it to yourself, because what is super important is looking after yourself whilst you're there, because the one thing you don't want to do is burn out completely and then have no energy to do anything. Like, camp is so fun. You need to have energy for camp and all the activities that you'll get up to. So if that means maybe taking a little break from having a night off, or just like getting an early night, like sometimes that's all you need and it'll sort you right out. We do have like breaks as well, like for our counsellors, like sometimes we'll have like a period off. I think general counsellors get maybe 2 periods off a week. was it 3? I don't know. I've never been a general counsellor, so I'm not sure how it works, but there'll be time for you to just chill out, and you normally do get a couple of periods off. At my camp you do anyway, and down at gymnastics for me, when we weren't too busy, like I'd give one of the gymnastics coaches a period off, and they could either go and like have a little rest, call home, or go and join in with whatever their kids were doing. So you do have the time to rest and recover if you do need, and just communicate. If you're feeling really tired, really exhausted, speak to your division leader, speak to your head staff, and just kind of put that out there that you're really struggling, you're feeling tired, and they don't want you to feel tired as well. So they'll probably give you the time to just go and rest, get a little sleep in, and you'll be fine. Okay, my camera just died, but I'm back. The next one I want to talk about is getting sick whilst you're at camp, and this is something that actually worries quite a few people, and it's just something you don't really think about too often. But if you are sick at camp, like at Tyler Hill, my camp, we have like a full health centre, and if anyone gets ill, they need to go there, they'll just be taken there. Like my best friend Summer at camp, she had a really rough first couple of weeks. She was really poorly when she first got to camp, and the health centre completely looked after her. When she needed to go to the doctors or the hospital, she did so. But if you're ill, like it would be no different. Like obviously they understand that you can't work if you're not well. But there was a time at the end of the summer where I was just feeling really run down. I was exhausted, I was so tired. My division leader just let me go up to bed, like during evening activity. We had enough counsellors to cover us anyway, and I just took a really well needed nap, and I woke up feeling so much fresher. And they'll obviously want you to have those little rests and breaks early on, instead of you pushing through and working yourself way harder and then ended up actually feeling way worse and not being able to work for longer. So if you are unwell, just communicate that you're not feeling well, go to the health centre, see what they can do, and just voice how you're feeling, because that's all they want is for you to communicate and just let them know how you're feeling, and then they can work things out accordingly. Okay, next one. Someone said, if someone involves you in drama and makes people dislike you and they're not having anyone to travel with. Now I think this is quite a specific thing to worry about, and like drama will happen at camp. Like there will be things like there'll be people you maybe don't get on with, or people that don't get on with you. Like there'll be people that you clash with because you're put into an environment with so many different types of people, and there are so many of you there. But that's completely normal. If that does happen, if there's people that you clash with, you won't get on with every single person there. Normally you will, because you're all a similar type personality going to camp. Normally like really energetic, really fun, like crazy, wanting to do fun things. But in terms of there being drama to the point where people really dislike you and not having anyone to travel with, I think that's really severe and very unlikely to happen. If someone's causing drama around you and making something up about you, obviously that's not based on you. Don't get yourself involved in any drama is all I'll say. Like stay away from the drama, stay away from anyone causing any trouble. Having a drama-free summer is the best way to go. Like just try and stay out of it, because it's just not worth it. Okay, next, someone said, is being the oldest there, I'll be 25. Now I'll be 24 going to camp next year, and you definitely won't be the oldest at 25. My first summer I was 19, and one of my best friends at camp was like 26, 27. There's people like all ages that go to camp. Like obviously you've got campers between the ages of like 7 and 16, and then staff between the ages of like 17 through to like 27. Then you have head staff that are older than that, and some are like, at my camp we've got someone that's I think is around 60 years old. So you've got all ages there, so you won't feel old at all. And I feel like at camp, especially when you're all counsellors, you all feel very similar in age anyway, because you're all doing the same job, you're there to do the same thing. So age really doesn't matter at camp. I spoke about this in my last video I did with Meg. Age just doesn't matter in terms of like going to camp and all of that. So you definitely won't feel old at all. Like I say, I'm 24 and going to camp and still going strong. I can see myself going for a good few years. So yeah. Okay, next, someone said, I have no idea what to pack, even though I've watched loads of videos. Now packing is something that stresses a lot of people out, and still stresses me out, even though I've been to camp for 3 years now. I am going to do kind of like a packing list video within the next month, as in where I just talk through everything that I'm going to take, and then in the next few months I'll do my physical pack with me video. I think I'll do similar to what I did last year. I'll film 2 pack with me videos. One I did in like March I think, and then I did like an official pack, as if this was everything I was taking with me, and people seem to quite like that because it gave them chance to prep. Obviously if I didn't film that video until I was going like the start of June, some people had already gone to camp and some people had already packed, so it's quite ideal to do a first one that isn't everything I'm going to take, but it's definitely a good start, and then I'll do my official one after. But reach out to other people that have been to your camp, try and find out what people have taken. Videos on YouTube are a really good way to kind of like work out what are good things to take. I'll leave a link down below my, I think I did top 10 things, or things that you didn't know you needed for camp, because that was a really interesting video, and it gives you a few ideas of things that you probably didn't think about taking, and just some stuff that might come in handy. And don't worry too much about not having things when you get out there, because you've got Walmarts, Targets, you can get out to supermarkets, shopping malls, so don't worry too much about not having specific things. The main things you really need is obviously going to be your underwear, swim stuff, active wear, and fancy dress clothes. Make sure you take some nice clothes as well, because it's nice to have nice outfits to put on when you're going out for time off and stuff. So definitely make sure you've got those things as well. Oh, this next one's a really good one actually. Someone said adding creativity into your sessions every day as a specialist counsellor. This is a really, really good one actually, and it's hard to maybe think about how you can be creative in a role that you don't really understand or like you haven't done before. But you'll normally never be working on your own with someone, like you won't be working on your own in a specialist area. Normally you'll have a few people around you, which I find is really nice to bounce off other people and try and kind of work out how you can be creative with them and kind of different things you can do. And it's just a really interesting way to kind of work and adapt and work with other people, but kind of just go with the flow. Like, don't worry too much about planning things. Go with like a brief idea, but until you go, you don't really know how the whole process is going to work, how your activity is going to be set up, who you're going to be working with. So I'd say wait until you get there and kind of just bounce off other people you're working with and come up with ideas as you go. Okay, next one is something that again I've had loads of you message me about, and it's a really good thing to talk about, and I haven't really spoke about this much. I'm going to do a whole video on just this, so don't worry too much if this doesn't go into too much detail. Someone's asked for tips for bonding with the campers during the start of camp, and this is something that obviously is completely different for everyone, and it's really hard to give like a definitive answer on how to help this. But in a video I did with Summer, I did the Camp America mukbang with her, and she actually spoke about how like she felt quite overwhelmed as a new staff member welcoming the kids off the buses, because it is really hard. Like obviously most of the kids that are going to camp, they know like returning counsellors, they know each other, and the first person they go to say hello is going to be those familiar faces, and you might find a little bit overwhelmed at the start and think, oh my god, like what's going on, like none of these kids know me. You do just have to break down those barriers, and you have to just be really welcoming, be really approachable, help them out with any little thing. Especially on that first day, it's really important to try and like have those little conversations with them. Make an effort with every single kid in your bunk or even your division if you get the chance to. Play little games. Like they'll always have some divisional time as well. Like as soon as the kids get there, they'll go to their bunks, they'll kind of unpack their bus bags, just be there as a face to like walk around, chat to them, ask them how their journey was, how their day was, what they'd been up to, and just kind of build those little relationships to start with. You will do a lot of training on this during orientation, and staff, like head staff, will help you kind of like understand how to make bonds with the kids and how to like start conversations with them, and you'll spend a lot of time training on this. So don't worry if again you're like, oh, I don't know how to have these conversations with these kids, like how do I do it? It will feel a lot more natural when you're actually there. Like I always find it's like when people ask you to do those role play things when you go for job interviews, and I'm just like, it just feels so awkward, and you wouldn't normally ever be in that kind of situation. So it's always so much more natural when you're actually in that situation. You know how to respond and react. But the first few days you'll definitely have a lot of opportunity to bond with your kids, and you'll have like different activities to do. Normally we'll sit in the bunk, especially if they're young kids, they haven't been to camp before, or if there's a lot of like new staff, we'll sit down and we'll kind of just like get to know you games. Like you want to know stuff about the kids, they'll want to know stuff about you, and the kids will ask you a lot of questions anyway. You won't even need to really be like, oh, what do I say? Like there won't ever be a silent minute in the bunk, I can tell you that now. They'll be talking to you about everything, about things back home, about what you do for work, about what your favorite color is, your favorite food. Like you'll talk about everything and little things like that. It does make it easy as you go along, and it does sound quite overwhelming to start with, and you're like, oh my god, like, that's terrifying, like I don't know how to have these conversations. But like I say, you'll do a lot of training on this, and it does get easier as you do it. But I'm going to do a full video on like tips for bonding with the kids and different things like that, so let me know if that's something you'd like to see, because I feel like that could be quite helpful. Okay, someone's asked about planning sessions and programs without fully knowing the logistics or the layout of camp, and this goes on from what I've just said about trying to be creative with different activities and stuff. It's really hard to kind of plan in advance. You can ask for tips from people that have worked before in that particular area and try and get a little bit of a vibe on what they do. At Tyler Hill, we do have a lot of, like I say, we do a lot of Zoom calls, and we have a lot of group chats, and we talk a lot about different things, and people can just ask questions, and you'll find that you'll have like little groups. We always have groups based on what you're doing at camp. Like we had a dance and gymnastics group before camp this year, and you'll find that you might have little group chats like that, and you can talk about things specific to your area. So say if you're working as a lifeguard, you might want to know how a day looks like from a lifeguard point of view, and I wouldn't be able to give much intel on that because I wasn't a lifeguard, but you'll kind of connect with people that have done similar things or are doing the same things. And there'll always normally be a few returning staff within that area anyway, so they can always give you some tips and pointers, and don't be afraid to ask, because no question is a silly question. Okay, someone's asked about having emergencies back home, and this is something that's obviously so out of your control. You can't do anything about that if anything like that was to happen. All you can do is just communicate. Same way as a lot of things, if you're feeling unwell or things like that, just communicate with your head staff, like whoever it is that's kind of your like point of contact within camp. Like you could literally go and speak to any head staff member and just be like, look, like there's a lot going on at home, what do you advise? Like at our camp we have one of our girls side head staff members who's actually a psychologist, and she did an amazing thing this year where you could book in to have little like chats with her, and you could do little meetings, and if you had any worries at all, you had anything going on, you could just reach out to her, you could talk through any issues, and she was just there to kind of be a person to chat to. You could do that with anyone, but it was really nice that she specifically had this time set aside for you to go and chat to her if you ever need anything. So as long as you communicate, obviously those things are completely out of your control. You can't control if that happens or not, so just make sure you keep everyone in the loop. You chat to whoever you need to be talking to if there's an issue, and you can just go from there. Okay, someone said they're nervous about traveling alone from Australia and that they won't connect with other counsellors being 18. Now there will be loads of other counsellors that are 18 years old, there'll be counsellors that are 24, 25, there'll be counsellors the same age as you, like without a doubt, and you'll probably find there's quite a few people coming from Australia. Like this year there seems to have been a lot more applicants from Australia coming to do Camp America, which is amazing. So definitely, again, like join my Facebook group, try and see if there's anyone that's maybe going to be traveling around the same time, or you'll find people that go into the same camp. Like this group chat has been amazing for people connecting with people, and I even had one girl message me saying that she'd met her best friend on this group. They just got chatting, they were going to the same camp, and now they literally talk every day, which is so nice that this community is kind of giving people the opportunity to do that and just meet people and making the whole process so much easier. So similar, obviously traveling alone, like I spoke about at the start, is a stressful thing, can be quite daunting, but if you can find someone to even just talk to whilst you're traveling, like even if someone's not traveling on the same day as you, maybe they're traveling a few days after, having that person to just chat to, and even if it's someone going to your camp, it just makes the whole process so much easier. Okay, next up, someone said about booking flights. Should I book a return or a single? Now I always book a return just because I find it's nice to have kind of an end date to work with. Obviously it does restrict you in some ways if you book a return flight for a certain day and it doesn't work out, you want to fly home later or earlier, it's hard. So try and maybe book a flexi flight. Some agencies don't actually let you travel to America without having a return flight booked. I can't remember what agency it was, but someone was messaging me saying that their agency wouldn't let them do some part of the application until they'd got a return flight booked, and with some agencies this isn't a requirement, which is really strange that some have it and some don't. They do advise that obviously as you're going into the country, it's good to have a return flight booked so you can show that you're leaving the country after, but obviously for some people it restricts you from knowing when to come home. I personally think it's better to book a return flight. It's always normally cheaper to book a return. My flights will be a bit different this time because I'm going to have a flight going out from Australia to New York and then a flight from New York to London, so my flights will be a bit different. So but I would always say book a return. Personally, for me, it's always worked out better. Okay, someone said about the cleanliness. I have really bad OCD and the thought of sharing showers and rooms worries me. And this is, again, completely normal, but it is kind of something that's unavoidable. The bunks can get messy. We're sharing a bunk with sometimes 13 kids and 3 counsellors. Like, it's hard to keep everything really clean and tidy. In terms of bathrooms and stuff, showers, they're cleaned every day by cleaners at my camp. The bunk day-to-day tidying needs to be done by you and the kids, so you do is try and stay on top of it, because otherwise it can get a little bit messy and it can be uncomfortable and it's not always nice to live in. But we have like job charts, and the kids are always meant to keep the bunks really clean. You just have to try and enforce that and help tidy as well. Like, you do have to do a lot of tidying along the way, but yeah, that is kind of unavoidable. The bunks are going to get messy because it's just what comes with living in a small space with a lot of people. Okay, someone said, I'm going for the first time this year and I'm scared about making friends. Again, I don't think I've actually spoke about that yet on this video, but you're put into such an environment where it's so easy to speak to new people and to make friends, because during orientation you do so many fun activities that literally mixes you with everyone at your camp. Like, you will speak to every single person in orientation nearly, maybe not everyone, but most people, because these activities are designed to make you, like, let you communicate and talk to every person. And they do a lot of things where you have to partner up with someone you've never spoke to before, or you have to be in a group with people that you've never actually seen before. And it's nice because it does let you mix and speak to everyone, because as soon as camp starts, you're kind of in your little bubble of your division and maybe your specialty area, and you maybe might have someone that's like your closest friend in orientation and they end up in a completely different division to you, and you don't spend as much time with them. So that's why orientation, they try and let you mix with every single person, or as many people as possible. It's hard to mix with everyone because we have like nearly 300 staff at Tyler Hill, but it's really good that you do have the opportunity to do all these fun activities and meet new friends and just meet other people, and you'll find that it's really easy to make friends along the way. Everyone going out and working at summer camp is virtually in the same place as you. They're going potentially on their own, or with just knowing a few people, having never done anything like this before, or having just done it for a couple of years before as a returner. All the returners are super welcoming and friendly and want you to have an enjoyable time, because they know what it was like to be in your footsteps however many years ago. Like, I love being a returning counsellor at Tyler Hill and helping new staff, because I remember how nervous I was when I first went, and I love being able to help ease people's like minds and just help them out the whole process, because it just makes it so much easier for you guys. So don't worry about that, because it's so easy to make friends and meet new people because you're in that environment that allows you to. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to talk about on this video. I think this is going to be maybe like 25 minutes long, which is quite good. Spoke about quite a few of these worries here, and maybe just helps ease your mind a little bit with some of the things you might be worried about. But I am going to go into detail in some of those specific things, and maybe talk about tips and tricks specifically for certain things, like the bonding with campers and maybe feeling homesick, because a lot of people, obviously that's a big worry for a lot of people. Traveling alone, I did a video on that actually. If I can, I think I did a video on that. I'll leave that link down below if I can find that video, but I'm going to make a similar one like that, like tips for traveling by yourself, what you kind of need to get through the airport, stuff like that, because again, it's just stuff that eases the whole process for you guys. But if you do have any other worries or anything that you're kind of not 100% sure on, please just leave something down below and I can get back to you and hopefully answer all of your questions. But yeah, honestly guys, the countdown is literally on for camp now. It is currently the 4th of January, and camp is so soon. Like, I always find as soon as January hits, camp is here virtually, because the new year just flies by. And I've been in Australia now for 3 months, and I don't know where the time has gone, and it's gone so fast. So literally the countdown is on. I'm so excited. But yeah, thank you for watching guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.